dancing to the radio, spinning round in the glow. Carried dreams on the wind to see our heroes begin. Which shout will they light the way, with courage shining bright today, holding hands through the fights and fears, together against the tide of years. Remember when the heart stood tall. In the shadows they stand, with courage so bold, fighting for the land, legends to behold. They whisper of hope like tales of old. Right-wing heroes rise, their stories unfold. Oh, they carry the flame ever bright, guiding us home through the night.
We stand for our rights, we won't back down. With fire in our hearts, we're taking the town. Against the shadows, we'll fight for our land. Together we rise, united we stand. For the beat of the drums, we'll chant and shout across the street or city. We'll make the stands, we're ready up to fight. Time for our dance.
We stand firm in our belief.
Hold tight.
Through the times clearer we can see. Crazy world spinning round.
Stay grounded.
In our hearts simple truths agree. Whisper of freedom and liberty
Rings true.
Our foundation strong and deep. Holding on to what we know, while the rest of the world lets go. Steady paths we choose to follow, while the winds of change blow. In the story we've built for trust and
Never doubt.
time flies but we won't bend. Communists talk loud and fast.
Stay solid.
Our quiet strength is our reply. So salute to change but pause.
Reflect.
In unity our dearest friend. Holding on to what we know, while the rest of the world lets go. Steady paths we choose to follow, while the winds of change blow. In shadows we find our light. Through chaos we stay upright.
Stay
with courage, faith on our side.
forever.
Standing firm our guide. Holding on to what we know, while the rest of the world lets go. Steady paths we choose to follow, while the winds of change blow.
In our little town so serene, where the grass is green, the air so clean, we gather round the table every night. Joyful days, oh what sight, with values passed, with generations past, living life with love that'll surely last. As the city lights look bright, we hold to our roots tight. In our hearts the same old fires, guided by the good old days. Sharing moments with friends always divine. Working hard for what we seek, respecting each word we speak, holding dear to our family ties underneath these nostalgic skies. As the city lights so bright, got too tight, in our hearts the same old fire. Oh, yeah. We Traditions keep our hearts going wild. What goes we find in our hearts simple ways? They got it by the good old days.
In the heart of the jungle there's a whisper. John Birch, a soldier, takes the lead. With the spirit so brave he conquers darkness. On his mission hear the call, take heed. Through the shadows where wild winds blow, he's seeking the truth where few dare to go. John in the heart of the wild, John on a journey so styled, John in the heart of the With faith in his soul he speaks to the lost, bringing warmth with every tale he tells. Through the valleys and hills where the rivers cross, he fights for the ones who dwell in the shells. With every step he dances with faith, unraveling tales that forever await. John in the heart of the wild, John on a journey so styled, John in the heart of the wild. Through the battles, through the night, he carries a flame, a guiding light. For every soul that's searching for peace in his heart, may the sorrow cease. John in the heart of the wild, John on a journey so styled, John in the heart of the
This is what we hold, values that keep us grounded still. Stand up for what is right, don't let the world make your will. Freedom and balance, it's here to stay. So let's embrace this life our way. Tradition calls, if you don't stand firmly, hold it tight. If you let go the reins, you'll miss your connection. So share a smile today in this community that we build. With love and respect, that's how our hearts can fill. We carry forward, we know our truth. In this great land, it's our time to move. If you want to stand firm, you'll lay in the direction. Hold it tight. If you let go of the reins, you'll miss your connection. Let's hold on to our dreams and cherish every moment. With values intact, we trust in them. We find our hope. Tradition calls. If you won't stand firm in your lane, you lose your direction. Hold it tight. If you let go of the reins, you'll miss your connection.
Times are changing, feel the buzzing. Staying true when they're fussing. Keep the flag a-flying through stormy nights. With the star-spangled banner, I stand tall with manners. Cross
crossed my heart with hope in sight.
Here comes freedom in the land of hope and
Free with liberty. Stick to values in the trends. Families gather, let's defend. Hold the line, keep the bond alive. Truth in our vision. In God we make decisions for our dream. Truth, thrive and strive. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and prairie with liberty. We'll keep fighting for what's right, standing strong in the night. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and bravery with liberty. We stand for our rights, we won't back down. With fire in our hearts, we're taking the town. Against the shadows, we'll fight for our land. Together we rise, united we stand. With the beat of the drums, we'll chant and shout across the street or say the hearts of the crowd. No room for whispers, for fear and regret. Well, I don't story, you ain't seen nothing yet. Well, freedom we cherish, we'll make the stands. We're ready up to fight it. Time for our dance.
Dancing to the radio, spinning round in the glow. Carry dreams on the wind to see our heroes begin. Which shout will they light the way? With courage shining bright today, holding hands through the fights and fears, together against the tide of years.
In the shadows they gather, with their banners raised high, a song of defiance echoes beneath the sky. They rise up in the night with passion burning bright.
In the shadows they stand, with courage so bold, fighting for the land, legends to behold. They whisper of hope, like tales of old. Right-wing heroes rise, their stories unfold. Oh, they carry the flame ever bright, guiding us home through the night.
In our little town so serene,
welcome on tonight's episode of Culturama, where on this show we are trying to reclaim the zeitgeist and reintroduce traditional Americana and traditional American values back into the United States of America, the one that we have lost so long ago with the infection of postmodernism entering into every major establishment and institution within our culture and our government, everyone. So thank you for joining in today. It's so good to see all the usuals, and I hope to see even more faces as we continue along in today's episode. So if you are watching and you are a usual viewer, hello again. Please like this stream, share it, retweet it if you can, and share it to all your group chats, all your friends, so we can get more views in here and more people in the chat room. Additionally, however, if you are new here, welcome. Thank you so much for joining, and please follow this channel, subscribe to this channel if you are on YouTube, or, you know, just follow me on Twitter and like the stream there and retweet it if you can. And it's good to see you and all the new new faces. So anyways, as we proceed further, and we'll have more chats in here, or more chatters, I will interact with you. But if you want me for most definitely to see your comment, respond to it, answer your questions, or even read a specific news story that you want me to read, or to comment on a specific, cultural topic, whatever that may be, send in a Rumble rant. The best way to communicate with me on this stream is through Rumble. And so by sending in a Rumble rant, it will definitely get my attention, if you know what I mean. And I'll definitely interact with your comment on there. But we have a lot to talk about today, like usual. Since it is Thursday, we only have to limit this stream to exactly 2 hours. So I'm just going to jump in here. We have a plethora of topics, so let's begin. I do want to say hello to the chatters. I want to say hello to Grizz Cheese. We are going to be talking about spies, Chinese infiltrators in the United States. I see Pork Chop 159, Mr. Pig, and I'm sure we're going to get more viewers in here as well. So thank you, everyone. I'm just referring to the Rumble chat as we proceed along here. So speaking of spies, Grizz Cheese, and everyone watching, Chinese spies, infiltrators, foreign assets. What do all these things have in common, and what country is associated with that the most as far as the United States is concerned? Well, that is, of course, the CCP, China. And Donald Trump has made it his mission to attack the the rather questionable effects of China and the Chinese government. And he's done so with attacking, or I guess you could say attacking, TikTok. And now he is, and his Secretary of State is aggressively pursuing visas, particularly Chinese students on visas, and how they are also infiltrating our academic institutions. What exactly do I think about this? Well, we have a lot to cover on that front. So we're going to first focus on what does it exactly mean to aggressively pursue these students? How does that look like? Stay tuned. We'll talk about that. Of course, we're going to talk about the tariff situation and the courts packed with specific activists, whether or not you think that seems to be the case here, and how they are going after Trump's EOs and executive actions. Now, what exactly does that entail, and are the voices of the American people actually being heard through this? Or is it a healthy use of checks and balances? We're going to be talking about that as well, of course. Hello, Nelson65. Welcome to the chat, and welcome to Culturama. If you're new here, drop a hello. Drop a comment in the chat room, in the chat box, and I'll be sure to respond to you. So we have a lot of politics to cover, obviously, but we also have cultural topics to cover as well. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but we are dawning closer. We are dawning closer to an eventful month, the modern American Bacchanalia, that is Pride Month. Yes, June is upon us, everybody, and I'll be commenting on that and exactly what's happening with businesses as we proceed forward. I want to ask you guys something. Now, I live in a liberal state, and what I've noticed is that a lot of big box stores like Walmart and so forth are not having as much rainbow regalia as much as they had in the past. What's up with that? Is this the dawning of the new era of the anti-woke and the LGBTQIA woke death that has been brought upon us from the Trump administration? Or am I just being overly optimistic? I guess we're just going to have to wait and see what's going to happen this coming June. However, speaking of degeneracy, which, I clearly cover quite often on this show, I want to talk about and really jump in this first topic here, which is a little bit of a lighthearted topic, but it does say a lot about our present culture, especially the female role in our present culture, everyone. Feast your eyes on the following. Let me get my story up here. So, Sydney Sweeney, I'm sure we're all aware of who she is selling 5,000, limited edition, 5,000 bars of soap that contain drops of her own bathwater in collaboration with a business called Dr. Squatch. Everybody. So, this is going to be quite interesting. A quite interesting development has unfolded here. What does this exactly entail in women's world in media as well as product merchandising? A lot of people are losing their cool over this. Now, you could say that this is just a very interesting, ploy to get people to buy their soaps. Fair enough. Dr. Squatch, I'm not familiar with the brand. I've never used them before, but they're fairly popular. They have really interesting, marketing tactics, and I'll give it to them. They are being creative. A lot of people are asking here, what exactly is Sydney Sweeney, doing with this brand, doing this exact action, given that she is fairly popular, she is fairly successful. Why is she stooping so low to sell her own bathwater? And other people are commenting that if anyone happens to even buy this bar of soap, they're probably wasting their money, given that it's pretty unlikely that these soaps even contain her bathwater. But there you go. There you have it, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Sydney Sweeney is selling, if you are so interested and if you are so inclined to purchase one, her own bathwater bliss is the name of this bar of soap. Let's see. This person asked, Patil Vish asked Grok, do you recommend that I buy this soap? And Grok responded with, I can't fully recommend buying Sydney Sweeney's bathwater bliss soap. However, it is a limited edition Dr. Squatch product with only 5,000 bars, marketed with her bathwater, which some fans find fun and collectible. By the way, it's not really collectible. A soap dissolves eventually, unless you buy this and never use it, which I guess sort of defeats the purpose of the product. However, some people, I guess, are just creepy enough to do that. Which some fans find fun and collectible. Sweeney calls it weird in the best way, but many criticize it as gross and objectifying, and hygiene concerns linger despite claims of filtration. That sounds utterly disgusting. So if you are so inclined, now, if this is your kind of product, Godspeed, I'm not going to judge you, but I find it odd that this is already being mainstreamed so much here, given that this has already happened. I don't know if you guys remember this. Everyone was laughing at a particular e-girl. Some of you may know her, some of you may not, okay? This is about Belle Delphine. Now, Belle Delphine really launched her, for those that don't know, she's a famous, e-girl, more or less. But she launched her success in online media, you could say, or online presence by doing the exact same thing. She wasn't exactly selling soap bars. There was no use to it. She was selling actual cups of her bathwater, which she has done. And the internet was enraged over this. And she has made over, even though they were enraged, she did make money. She made over $90,000 in profits through selling her own bathwater. Everyone was laughing at her, but she wasn't wrong. This is a valid sales technique or tactic where, I guess men and some women will go so far as to purchase this. What is tragic about her story, however, Belle Delphine's, is that when she did sell her bathwater, she made $90,000, very low, very, 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 I don't know how destitute you have to be. She clearly had money, but she decided to do this anyway. Regardless, PayPal never actually gave her funds because she did it through PayPal. They never gave her funds until 5 years later. So I'm not going to read this entire article, but this is the original tweet that launched this story off, because for years, people didn't know this. Since it's been a couple years now, I can finally share my biggest L I've ever taken, writes Belle Delphine. Not only did I not earn any money selling my bathwater, I in fact lost money doing it. Imagine being a woman and, stooping so low. And I'm as a woman, I feel like I can confidently say this. I do feel like it is stooping a little low, just a little low to do something like this. It's a little gross, but as we, I'm sure as we are already aware as being terminally online, I'm assuming people that watch me are terminally online just like I am, which is not a bad thing, but we are pretty aware that people will do gross things and will buy gross things. So it's not uncommon, but to do that, you are sort of compromising an aspect of yourself, and to go so far to do that and still lose money in the process is quite disheartening. But that speaks to the situation that we see with a lot of girls, a lot of young women today, in spaces like OnlyFans, where they feel like it is appropriate to do so, and it's appropriate to sell yourself out to do something like this. And even if you get nothing really in return, like you are promised, or you are said would happen, it never really happens. And women out there experience this all the time on OnlyFans. I'm not going to say it started with Belle Delphine, but she certainly popularized this tactic. And girls are just okay with it. They don't think it's a problem. Anyway, she mentions how PayPal, without any warning, closed her PayPal account, took the $90,000 that she earned is a very strong word here, but she earned selling her bathwater. There was nothing I could do. I tried phoning them, and they just said, sorry, nothing we can do. I knew it would be a better news story to say that I made so much money from selling my bathwater, so I just kept it a secret. Ultimately, I'm so glad I did it, since it was really funny at the time on the internet when it happened. And I still did mail out my bathwater people bought from me, which I did all by myself. So F PayPal, I guess. Gosh, imagine making money over selling your bathwater, not getting a dime. But... so this is clearly what Belle Delphine's marketing tactic, her product is what inspired this soap. And, the selling your bathwater meme has been around ever since then. But all of a sudden, it's just interesting how this is considered now, like standard practice, standard enough where someone big enough like Sydney Sweeney is doing this to be sold. And, but thankfully, it's good to see that a lot of people are ridiculing this, okay? A lot of people are ridiculing this. They think it's gross, little nasty, and it's a waste of money. But you just know that's why they made such a limited supply, 5,000. Because given such a large organization or business like Dr. Squatch, I'm assuming they're fairly large. I see their products everywhere. 5,000 isn't that much. So they're probably aware that your average consumer would be a little put off by this. They claim they have proper filtration techniques, but I doubt I would still be compelled enough to buy this soap knowing that it contains water that someone already bathed in. And I don't care how attractive the individual is, man or woman, it's still, water they bathed in. And there's something wrong with that. Someone in the comments is mentioning perhaps selling Leo bath water soap. Very good idea, Nelson65. Now, if it was Leo bath water soap, that would be a different story. Not gross at all. Very good product. Okay. Oh, you guys' comments are quite something, isn't it? Okay, you guys. Now, enough of this funny business. I want to jump into the real news for today. It is Thursday, so I better keep it, brief while we can, cover all the stories that I have lined up for us. So stay tuned. I'm going to be talking about this next major story coming up here. And this has been headlining everywhere, Elon Musk. We haven't talked about Elon Musk for a hot minute on this show, but I'm going to have to dive into this one because Elon Musk is officially, yes, very sadly, in fact, he is leaving Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency. It's a dark day for us all, but he's done his efforts to save us money here in the country. So I'm going to talk about him leaving Doge and what exactly Congress has done to help stop the waste of money that we have been seeing in this nation. Okay, so everyone, yes, Nelson65, he's leaving Doge. I don't know if you're commenting about that, but Elon Musk is leaving. Dr. Squatch just started selling in retail stores like Walmart and Kroger just a few years ago. Is that so, JJ? I don't know if I know that certain parts of the country, certain products are prevalent. They're probably prevalent extremely in the Pacific Northwest because I've seen them everywhere. Even in smaller stores, I've seen them. So, but if they've just started selling at big box stores, I guess this is their hard launch here with Sydney Sweeney soap. But I'll be right back, everyone. A brief commercial break, really brief, and I will talk about the unfortunate circumstance of Elon Musk leaving Doge. Everyone, stay tuned.
stay. So let's embrace.
Watch me on Rumble on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Culturama. Let's proceed with this video here.
President Trump's chief cost cutter says he is leaving his temporary government position. Doug Luzader has more from Washington.
Elon Musk says this has been his plan all along, but he is expressing some frustration on the way out.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, we will indeed do that.
There's no question that Elon Musk brought enthusiasm to the job, but his time as a leader of the Department of Government Efficiency has come to an end. He posted on X, as my scheduled time as a special government employee comes to an end, I would like to thank President Trump for the opportunity to reduce wasteful spending.
Our goal is to reduce the waste forward by $4 billion a day, every day, 7 days a week.
Musk made some heady claims at the outset, promising to cut at least $1 trillion in government waste. Doge now claims to have saved $175 billion. During Musk's tenure, his car business, Tesla, clearly suffered as he faced both criticism and praise. On his way out, he says President Trump's so-called big, beautiful spending bill undermines some of his efforts.
He did say
I
that,
think the
yes.
bill can be big or it can be beautiful. But I don't know if it can be both.
It was criticism that the president shrugged off yesterday.
We will be negotiating that bill, and I'm not happy about certain aspects of it, but I'm thrilled by other aspects of it. That's the way they go.
And through his short tenure in government, Musk may have learned one important lesson. Even a chainsaw has a tough time cutting through the thicket of federal bureaucracy.
And that he was going back to something that he found easier to do, maybe, which is like try to colonize Mars. Washington is harder to fix.
It's easier, perhaps, to colonize Mars than it is for Congress to agree on proceeding forward with the Trump's orders of cutting spending. You guys, this is the United States that we live in. Welcome to 2025.
Harder to steer than maybe it looks like from the outside.
Now, as a special government employee, Musk was limited to 130 days of work. He says the Doge mission, though, will live on. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
Hopefully it will live on in Washington. It did take someone like Musk to, I suppose you could say, forward this or accelerate this process. However, as we'll come to find out moving forward with the story, is that the legislative branch, guess what, doesn't really legislate all that much. And they do not want to proceed forward with this, or at least they halted this progress quite a bit, which goes to show how our elected officials perhaps aren't even on our side. Unfortunate circumstances. However, regardless of what you think for the choice of someone like Elon Musk to head Doge, they did make waves in the cultural conversation, and they did make some significant political and cultural impact. And it got people talking. And remember when I talked about this in January when the Trump administration had just started? It got people talking. It got people interested and actually invested in how much money we are actually wasting. Now, you know, everyone's concerned about the budget. More or less, people are concerned about their wallets. And I have even said that that would be one of the main contributors to voting Trump into office. I was correct about that assertion. But, you know, unless someone is like fairly older or politically minded or have experienced quite a bit, especially with younger people, you know, your average American just isn't that concerned about spending. So unfortunately or fortunately, it took someone like a powerhouse, you could say, or an autistic powerhouse perhaps, like Elon Musk to push this forward. Let's read this article together. Elon Musk leaves the White House but says Doge will continue. He is leaving the Trump administration after helping lead a tumultuous dive to shrink the U.S. government, the size of the U.S. government, that saw thousands of federal jobs axed. Wasn't that a great time when we saw all those bureaus, the bureaucrats, lose their positions of power, lose their iron grip on the flexibility of the American nature? That was a fun thing to cover on my show. I remember that. In a post on a social media platform X, the world's richest man thanked Trump. It's interesting how they have to frame it this way. The world's richest man thanked Trump for the opportunity to help him run the Department of Government Efficiency known as Doge. The White House began offboarding, quotes, Musk as a special government employee on Wednesday night, just last evening. His role was temporary and his exit is not unexpected, but it comes the day after Musk criticized the legislative centerpiece of Trump's agenda. Okay, so clearly despite what the liberal narrative and the liberal media says, not everyone's exactly, on the same exact page to the letter T or the final letter on what Trump says. Believe it or not, even though you think Trump may have some authoritarian sentimentalities, it turns out even his closest aren't always on his side, because you know what? That's normal. That's natural. Disagreements happen. But when people want to save a country, for the most part, they do so aggressively. They're going to push certain policies or certain actions to save Americans, even when they are deemed, frankly, unpopular. But sometimes it needs to be done. And I think that's what the effort of Doge originally was. But alas, even Elon Musk himself did not agree with everything Trump said. But that's okay. I don't like the way this article is framing it. A lot of articles have been framing it this way, especially in the title, making it sound like that Elon Musk was kicked out of Doge. That's not true, okay? I was expected that he was to leave, but they are framing it like this is happening right after Elon Musk had criticized some of the things that Trump was doing. So let's read this. As my scheduled time as a special government employee comes to an end, I would like to thank President Donald Trump for the opportunity to reduce wasteful spending, Musk wrote on X. The Doge mission will only strengthen over time and becomes a way of life throughout the government. The South African-born tech tycoon, again, the way they title him, has been designated as a special government employee, allowing him to work a federal job for 130 days a year. Measured from Trump's inauguration on 20th of January, he would hit that limit towards the end of May. And here we are, everybody. Welcome to the chat, C. Sonderov. Good to see you. I see you as well, Mr. Lipsurdi. Very good to see my usuals. Please like and share the stream if you can. Thank you so much. We are reading about Elon Musk leaving Doge and the Trump administration. Is this a sad day for you all? Chat, if you're watching, is this a sad day or is this, something to celebrate? I don't know. I am, partial to the idea that I'm not a big on Musk himself that was to head this project. However, I will admit that having someone like Musk head this project and sort of be like the picture of Doge did ruffle a few feathers, and it got people talking, and it got people actually going to the Twitter account that is Doge and actually looking at their insights and seeing the amount of money that we are spending, or wasting rather, and that was important. Anyway, let's continue. Mark, who has clashed in private with some Trump cabinet officials, we all know that Musk has been through a lot. He's speaking of ruffling feathers, he's done that within the Trump administration, maybe even some members of the Trump family. And he's been through, constant aggression from the left as far as Tesla is concerned, if you guys remember that. So Elon Musk has been through a lot. So part of me thinks that he's a little bit relieved leaving. An estimated 260,000 of the 2.3 million strong federal civilian workforce have had their jobs cut or accepted redundancy deals as a result of Doge. Interesting how they spell Doge this way and not in all caps. In some cases, federal judges blocked the mass firings and ordered terminated employees to be reinstated. Judges coming in and killing the fun as usual, you guys. The rapid-fire approach to cutting the federal workforce occasionally led some workers mistakenly being let go, including staff and the U.S. nuclear program. However, Musk announced in late April that he would take a step back to run his companies again after becoming a lightning rod for criticism of Trump's efforts to shake up Washington. Doge is just becoming the whipping boy for everything, Musk told the Washington Post. Something bad would happen everywhere, and we would get blamed for it even if we had nothing to do with it. So we have a little trouble in paradise, ladies and gentlemen. Musk's time in government overlapped with a significant decline in sales at his electric car company, and I can only imagine why.
Meet the tiniest.
We can watch this clip as soon as this 11-second advertisement is over. Meanwhile, welcome everyone that has joined the Culturama show. Welcome to the chat. As you can see there, there's the Teslas being lit on fire. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's a little bit blurry. This happened in Las Vegas. Where's another location? Las Vegas. This is Seattle, Department of Transportation. Same thing is happening. So all across the United States, people have been, attacking the cyber trucks. If you guys remember, that was, I talked about it on this show before. They attacked the cyber trucks. They threw rocks and bricks at Tesla facilities, at their windows. They set Teslas on fire, charging stations on fire. Which is even worse for the environment than you can even imagine. So very interesting. None of these people are doing it for the environment. They wouldn't care either way. But clearly, Musk has experienced and encountered a few losses here. With great gains comes great losses, after all. Tesla sales dropped by 13% in the first 3 months, by the way, nationally. The company's stock price also tumbled by 45% and has mostly rebounded and is only down to 10%. So Tesla recently warned investors that the financial pain could continue, declining to offer a growth forecast while saying changing political sentiment could meaningfully hurt demand for the vehicles. So, like I said, a part of Musk must be somewhat relieved that he is leaving. Now, this is the video where Musk is disagreeing with Trump on a few things here. Let's take a listen.
Elon Musk, the SpaceX and Tesla CEO, expressed his disappointment with the president's sweeping tax and spending bill that passed the House and is currently facing some headwinds in the Senate. This is what Musk told CBS News.
I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the Doge team is doing. I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful.
But it can't be both. Do you guys remember that? He said a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but it cannot be both.
It can be both.
All right, with us now, Amisha Cross, a Democratic strategist, and Mark Short, the former chief of staff.
Who's ready to take listen to a Democratic's take on this? Let's take a listen.
To Vice President Mike Pence. And Mark, this is the president's entire legislative agenda right now, this tax and spending bill. And Musk has been critical of the president's tariff policy, which is basically his entire economic agenda. That's a big part of what President Trump is pushing, that Elon Musk is now very publicly saying, I'm not for.
Sure, John. I do think, look, the sausage making can look like the big, beautiful bill isn't so beautiful. I think we have to keep in mind that in the House, the margin for Republicans is so small that I think Mike Johnson doesn't get due credit for people who said he wouldn't be able to get the votes to be speaker. He wouldn't be able to avoid a shutdown. Now he got this tax bill through. And when you do that, sometimes you have to give favors to different constituencies to get it. I imagine the Senate will probably whittle it down some. But, there's parts of this, I'm very excited to see the tax bill moving forward. I think the president's trade agenda is indefensible.
I'll say it as a purely political endeavor, what Mike Johnson did was impressive. Yeah. Again, objectively getting that through was an impressive political feat. But to have Musk criticizing it on its substance, and this is not some minor policy that the president is pushing. This is his entire legislative policy.
Sure, and I could pick apart pieces of it that I don't like either, John. I think a lot of Republicans could. I think that some of the expansions of the SALT deductions is egregious. But
careful, you're in New York.
I know. But at the same time, I think the consequence of a $5 trillion tax increase on the American people is too much for Congress not to get this done.
Like I've been saying, that the mainstream media will try to pose this lie that Trump is a wannabe monarch, that he's an authoritarian, that everyone within his administration or works alongside him are all in lockstep with what he is saying. And this is clearly untrue. And I think Musk coming out and saying this, regardless of whether or not you agree with him, is important to indicate that it's not the mainstream narrative that Trump is an authoritarian is not exactly correct. And, we still have even internal, you could say, checks and balances within the administration, because disagreement is normal, disagreement is natural. And Trump clearly even surrounds himself with people that, even though they are on the same mission of saving America and wanting to benefit Americans and help Americans in the long term, are still willing to disagree with Trump. It's not like Trump only surrounds himself with yes men all the time. And so that's the important takeaway, I think, to get from this. And that with Musk's, Musk saying they were trying to undermine the bill here.
Amisha, I want to play some sound just to stay on Elon Musk for a second, because Musk, it was a couple weeks ago where he said he was going to get out of the political giving business, and he had a soundbite that's been played, but the end of it I want you to pay attention to. Listen.
Some dungeon entrances and top heroes are super.
Apologies for the commercials here, everybody.
In terms of political spending, I'm going to do a lot less in the future.
And why is that?
I think I've done enough. Well, if I see a reason to do political spending in the future, I will do it. I do not currently see a reason.
So Elon Musk is pulling out, ladies and gentlemen. Ted Cruz is, of course, reminding us what's important and telling us that we should thank Elon Musk.
Well, listen, the left's reaction to Elon Musk shows what utter hypocrites they are. You know, we've seen for the better part of a decade the left screaming that climate change is going to end humanity and nothing matters more than stopping the internal combustion engine and moving to electric vehicles. Elon Musk started what became the largest electric vehicle manufacturer in the world, Tesla.
Exactly.
And 5 years ago, Elon was a hero to the left. And then he had the temerity to actually speak the truth, to support Donald Trump, to speak up against the madness of open borders, to speak up against the insanity of men and women's sports, to speak up against the woke mind virus. And the left decided he was Adolf Hitler. He was the embodiment of evil. They're engaged in domestic terrorism against him. What you said is exactly right. I think the American people ought to be saying to Elon, thank you, thank you, thank you. He came and spent 4 months working for the American people free of charge, didn't collect a salary, made nothing. He rooted out massive waste, fraud, and abuse. And he did so at enormous cost to himself.
Exactly, and I think that's one of the rare instances I find myself agreeing with Ted Cruz here is that and this is what's so problematic, you could say, I'll use their language, so problematic with the left is that regardless of any good that you may do, even according to their narrative, like for instance, helping the environment or climate, that traditionally goes along with their narrative here, they still will turn a blind eye to that because Elon or whoever would be in his position aligns with an individual they just have characterized as Adolf Hitler, full stop, without even, and we all remember this from 2016, without even exactly explaining why. What is it about immigration reform that is Hitlerian? What is it about actually bettering national identity or national people or American workers is Hitlerian or authoritarian or any of those things, simply because he aligned himself with a person that was painted as Hitlerian. Therefore, regardless of all the good that he has done, even in line with their own narrative of what it means to be good, they will still attack Elon Musk and expel him from their original movement. Do you remember, you guys, at the time when Elon Musk was traditionally conflated with what the left wing was? This was way back, probably in the 2010s or so. Man, how times have changed. Here's another article by The Hill. Let's quickly skim this. Conservatives' furor grows over the future of Doge cuts. Now, this is where I want to talk about Congress here, you guys. These ads, oh my goodness. Conservative frustrations are boiling over Congress's lack of action to codify spending cuts pursued by Donald Trump's Department of Government Efficiency. Tech billionaire Elon Musk made waves this week, when he took aim at a sprawling package passed by the House last week to advance Trump's tax priorities, while raising concerns over the potential deficit impact of the measure. I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill. We've already watched this clip of Elon Musk criticizing this, okay? His comments add to a growing chorus of complaints made by fiscal hawks in Congress and prominent conservatives outside Capitol Hill in the days since House's passage of Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. DeSantis knocked GOP lawmakers on Tuesday in a post on X while saying Musk took a massive incoming, including attacks from his companies as well as his personal smears, to lead the effort in Doge. To see Republicans in Congress cast aside any meaningful spending reductions and, in fact, fully fund things like USAID, which we've also talked about this show before, these so-called conservatives, fiscal conservatives especially, that say they want to cut spending, but they never actually proceed with that and, in turn, will still go along with funding things like USAID, which are known to fund and burn money and fund projects and programs that shouldn't even exist in the first place, like providing LGBTQ, agenda classes in third world nations where they can hardly feed themselves, or funding, drag queen shows in South American countries, like things that you wouldn't even dream of, funneled through USAID using our money. So these fiscal conservatives are promoting programs like this instead of following through with Trump's agenda to cut spending. Anyway, to see Republicans in Congress cast aside any meaningful spending reductions is demoralizing, says DeSantis, and represents a betrayal of the voters who elected them. White House Deputy Chief and Staff Stephen Miller over the weekend took to X to clarify that the Trump agenda mega bill was not the correct vehicle for the DOGE cuts. DOGE cuts would have to be done through what is known as rescissions packages or an appropriations bill. The big beautiful bill is not an annual budget bill and does not fund the Department of Government. It does not finance our agencies or federal programs. But regardless of all this, technically correct stances, frustrated conservatives are amping up the pressure. Personally, I want to pass DOGE cuts every single week until the bloated, out-of-control government is reined back in. As a country, we cannot survive our national debt, and honestly, we may be past the point of return. We should be aggressively attacking our debt and aggressively cutting all waste, fraud, and abuse and unnecessary programs, said Marjorie Taylor Greene on Wednesday in a post. Mary Miller wrote on Saturday that every DOGE cut targets waste, fraud, and abuse. Congress must codify them quickly. What's the holdup? And Senator Rand Paul, who has said that he will not vote for Trump's big beautiful bill in the Senate, wrote on Thursday that Elon Musk was right. The House's version of the one big beautiful bill would explode the debt by $4 trillion, undermining all the cuts DOGE has made. There's nothing beautiful about that. Amid the uproar, Speaker Mike Johnson on Wednesday pointed to Stephen Miller's defense while vowing to codify the DOGE cuts through the appropriations process by approving administration requests to claw back funds. He said that the House passed bill to enact Trump's agenda is intended to build on DOGE's success. And he added the GOP-led House is eager and ready to act on DOGE's findings by quickly passing a package to codify the cuts and using the appropriations process to swiftly implement Trump's 2026 budget. Let's continue. Republicans have so far been bullish on the chances of the package to codify the cuts passing and want the White House to send further requests if the plan makes its way through Congress. And the Trump administration's sweeping cost-cutting and government reshaping operation has continued to run into roadblocks in the court. Well, what a surprise, right? The court. We're going to be talking about the court, you guys. We got two more here. Okay, I want to touch on this article. Trump wants Congress to approve. This is just a resummation from Yahoo News, the best news source. I'm kidding, of course. Culturama should be your best news source. Trump wants Congress to approve $9 billion in DOGE cuts, including more than $1 billion in cuts to public broadcasting. President Donald Trump wants to make the DOGE cuts official. He will send $9 billion rescissions packages to Congress next week, giving Republicans an opportunity to enact cuts suggested by Elon Musk and Elon Musk's DOGE oversight. An office manager and budget spokesperson confirmed to Business Insider that the package will include $1.1 billion in cuts to the Corporation of Public Broadcasting and $8.3 billion in spending reductions to foreign aid and USAID. Wow, shocker there. We needed that for a while. Trump is aiming to stop the CPB from funding PBS and NPR, which was the subject of an executive order that he has issued the month. The president long targeted funding for public broadcasting. The White House has sought Congress to enact these spending cuts weeks ago, but, big but, GOP lawmakers have focused on drafting and passing Trump's one big beautiful bill, the tax and immigration package that narrowly made it out of the lower chamber and faces an uncertain future in the Senate. The rescissions request comes as Musk, who will take a step back from his work with Doge in the coming weeks, criticized the Republican-led bill in an interview with CBS. Okay, regardless of all of this, Elon Musk, whatever you think of him, did really stand true to the principles of the administration, to the principles of what Elon Musk has decided to stand for, regardless of all this stuff. Like, let's remove ourselves from the Congress conversation for a second. Let's consider what Elon Musk has been through, you guys, okay? He lost quite a bit of his revenue and his finances from Tesla, lost quite a bit of resources, and may even have put his life on a few blacklists. Okay? This guy has been through a lot. And I did want to play this last clip for you guys, sort of like showing you where he's coming from, showing you from Elon Musk's version of virtue here.
You know, I'm reminded of the scene in The Princess Bride.
The Princess Bride.
Movie.
Very apt.
Where he confronts the person who killed his father. And he says, offer me money. Offer me power. I don't care.
So you just don't care. You want to share what you have to say.
I'll say what I want to say, and if the consequence of that is losing money, so be it.
Okay.
There you have it. How many of us do you think can really say that? Offer me money, offer me power. I don't care. I'll say what I want to say, and if the consequences is losing money, so be it. The ex-head of Doge, ladies and gentlemen, okay? These are the people that Trump has filled his administration with. Once again, people that aren't yes men, people that aren't cowardly, okay? People that aren't wanting a Hitlerian leader, aren't authoritarians. They actually want to limit the size of government, actually. He's filling his administration, albeit with some quirky people like Elon Musk here, but people that at the end of the day, you just have to say that are principled. I mean, you can point at Musk and say he's the world's wealthiest man. He's not principled whatsoever. But if that were truly the case, do you really think that he would undergo the amount of pressure that he has up until now, these last 130 days? Especially, relating to his other businesses and projects like Tesla. I don't think so. It'd be hard for me to believe that. So, very interesting developments we have here with the administration. But even more interesting, I think, are student visas in China. Okay? I want to talk about the Chinese infiltration programs that we are experiencing here in the country. And a lot of them are passed through, I would venture to say, through the student visa program. What is little Marco Rubio going to do about that? We're going to be covering that. I'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned. Send on your Rumble rants if you want to ask me a question. Visit the AP4 Liberty shop to get your own Culturama mug and other goodies from the Culturama shop in the Culturama collection. We will be right back, and we'll be talking about Chinese spies. Tongue-in-cheek, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be right back.
Well, here comes Danny Yellow like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the four olds.
old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah, who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have "Glad You Came Out" and "I'm so happy that you're queer" in the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. The employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hafer doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
Hey, Liberty lovers, stop scrolling, because if you're tired of the same old news, then I've got just the wake-up call for you. I want to thank you for tuning in to Culturama, and I know that you're enjoying every minute of it. Join us at rumble.com/AP4Liberty. The Wake Up America show is Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's a great way to start your day. Coffee's optional, but waking up is mandatory. Remember, at Wake Up America, we'll keep you sharp, we'll keep you laughing, most of all, we'll keep you free. I'll see you in the morning.
Welcome back to Culturama, everyone, and thank you for watching. We are on the halfway of the show right now, so if you could ever so please like and share the stream, drop a hello in the group chat or in the sidebar chat, and it'll be so good to hear from you. And I already see that we have a $5 donation from Mr. Absurdi. So thank you so much for your generosity. Cannot talk today, but thank you so much. I really appreciate that for the $5. And all you wrote was shout out to the chat. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Let's see. Do I have a song for that? Thank you so much, Mr. Libserti. That song was for you and your donation. Okay, so I'm going to talk about China here. Now, this is a topic that a lot of people on social media have been harping on, but it does get harped on for good reason. Okay, little Marco Rubio has proven himself worthy of Trump's gaze with this statement coming from the U.S. Department of State, everybody. So I'm going to be playing this or reading this out loud to you. And let's take a look at it together because this is obviously a very pertinent topic to not just the culture of the country, but also the security of our country. Okay? Okay, let me pull it up. There we go. So this happened just yesterday. New visa policies put America first, not China. This is a statement out from Marco Rubio. This is all it says. Under President Trump's leadership, the U.S. State Department will work with the Department of Homeland Security to, quote, aggressively revoke visas for Chinese students, including those with connections to the Chinese Communist Party, okay, or studying in critical fields. We will also revise visa criteria to enhance scrutiny for all future visa applications from the People's Republic of China and Hong Kong. What a massive Chinese and their infiltration programs situated under the Chinese Communist Party. Now, of course, I don't know for certain, and I cannot say for certain at what lengths the Chinese are going to subvert our nation, whether that be through sending students our way or by other means. However, I think it is appropriate to suggest, okay, now, stay with me here. I think it's appropriate to suggest that China doesn't have our best interest in mind, number one, and number two, is willing, if they had the resources to do so, if they had the implements to do so, just theoretically stating, if they had the means to do so, that China would try to subvert our country. Can we agree on those 2 points? And if your answer to those two are yes, then I think it's appropriate to suggest, well, maybe we should, take some measures into securing our country and broadening security measures for our country, as well as not only that, but also putting American students and American workers first. I don't think there's any harm or there's anything anti-libertarian, anti-American to do that. In fact, I would say it's very much pro-Americanism to do that. But that's just me. I don't know. Now, let's read this article together to give us a better idea. They have the same screenshot here as I just showed you. This is coming from Reuters, so take it with a grain of salt, but here we go. The U.S. says it will start revoking visas for Chinese students. President Donald Trump's administration has sought to ramp up deportations and revoke student visas as part of a wide-ranging effort to fulfill its hardline immigration agenda. In a statement, Rubio said that the State Department will also revise visa criteria to enhance security for all future visa applications from China and Hong Kong. China's foreign ministry spokesperson in Beijing today condemned the move and said it had lodged protests with Washington, while Chinese students with offers from U.S. universities expressed despair on the crackdown. Horrible. They expressed despair as though their own country of origin doesn't have competing schools. Now, people say that, the Chinese education far surpasses American education. And, seeing the state of higher education, especially here in the United States, not even talking about K through 12, I would be surprised that Chinese students are running towards the United States to get their education. Whatever happened to the narrative that Chinese education is far more advanced, far more superior than our own? Just a question. Are there students coming here because it isn't for the quality of education? And I think we can all agree that even Ivy League schools now in the United States is, and I've talked about this, is diluted in the quality of its output. I mean, the college degree is virtually meaningless now if you think about it, or is it because they just want, are Chinese students coming here just for the aesthetic, I guess you could say, or just the idea of attending American universities? I want it to be explained to me why Chinese students are in despair that they cannot attend American universities. It's very weird. Anyway, the Chinese Foreign Ministry vowed to, quote, firmly safeguard the legitimate rights and interests, because foreigners have rights now here in the United States too. They have the right to come and learn here. of students overseas following the Trump administration's move to revoke Harvard University's ability to enroll foreign students, many of whom are Chinese. China is also at the epicenter of Trump's global trade war that has roiled up financial markets, upended supply chains, and fueled risks of a sharp worldwide economic downturn. Now, there's conversation to be had about how true that is. And yes, the tariff wars, I can understand, are a little bit, questionable. I can see both sides of that conversation. I really can. Okay? I can see both sides of that situation. It's not a popular, it's not a popular stance to take, especially for an electorate that just clearly stated that they want to save more money. They want their pockets full. The last election proven that. I understand. However, with this policy and with this measure, it blows my mind that there are Americans saying that this is a bad idea. Once again, considering the security, considering putting Americans first, why would you ever want to disagree with Trump on this? What compels you? And now the Chinese Foreign Ministry is also stating that foreign students overseas have legitimate rights and interests, arguably above American student interests. International students, India and China together accounts for 54% of them, contributed to more than $50 billion to the U.S. economy in 2023, according to the U.S. Department of Commerce. And I'm willing to believe that. I'm willing to believe that. I don't care. We're not an economic zone. We're a country. Okay, let's read a little bit more. A surge of Indian and Chinese students in the United States. The number of Indian and Chinese students enrolling in higher education institutions in the United States has surged over the past 2 decades, now accounting for 54% of all international enrollments, up from just 25% in 2005 and 2006. And you can see the chart here. This could also be included in my offensive statistics category today, but I didn't pull that up here because it is at our expense, but regardless. But yes, obviously, and no one's disputing this, the encouragement of foreigners into coming into our country, infiltrating our institutional systems, including our education and the workforce, of course, is not news. This is something that I've been talking about, and a lot of people know in the conservative wing have been talking about for quite some time. University ties to China under scrutiny. One more section. The State Department has broad authority to issue and revoke visas. Newsflash. The administration last week cited Harvard University's ties to China as among several reasons for revoking its ability to enroll foreign students, a move temporarily blocked by the U.S. judge. Not a shocker there. Rubio's statement did not offer details on how extensively the visa revocations would be applied. Even a relatively small number could dispute the flow of Chinese students seeking out higher education in the U.S. that began in the late 1970s from communist-governed China. Many of those who have stayed after graduating have been credited with contributing to American research capacity and the U.S. workforce. Again, could be done by Americans, but, we don't want that for some reason. The number of Chinese students in the U.S. dropped to about 270,000 in 2024. However, from a high of around 370,000 in 2019, pulled lower by a growing tension between the world's 2 biggest economies, heightened U.S. government scrutiny of Chinese students, and the COVID-19 pandemic. Interesting that, yeah. We're not forgetting this, the COVID-19 pandemic, yes. As the U.S.-China geopolitical rivalry escalates into what many analysts consider is a new form of Cold War tensions, U.S. agencies and Congress have stepped up scrutiny of China's state-sponsored influence and technology transfers at American colleges and universities. Washington has become increasingly concerned that Beijing uses open and federally funded research environments in the U.S. to circumvent export controls and other national security laws. Greater scrutiny and uncertainty over visas has led more Chinese students to opt for schools in Europe. Fine, go there then. And more graduates now return to China to ply their trades. So, Anyway, we can debate about how involved the Chinese government is in the infiltration process within our workforce, within our country, and within our major academic institutions. Whatever. I understand. This is a hot button issue for a lot of people. And I'm not denying that even, people that are from China that have come here and attend our schools, it did contribute to our economy. We're not an economic zone. We're a country. But regardless, this is fine. It's a fair argument. But what if I told you that if we just set aside mainstream narratives and mainstream media telling us what we should think and telling us what the stats say, there are journalists out there and there are research out there with expert opinions suggesting that no, actually, this is very dangerous. Let's take a listen. This guy, he's a journalist from the Heritage Foundation. Regardless of what you think about the Heritage Foundation, I want you guys to hear this guy out. This is what he says about China infiltrating American schools, okay? He gave his expert opinion. He testified before a subcommittee, and this is what he said. I want us to take a careful listen to what he's saying here.
I am DeAngelis T. Arredondo, Senior Fellow at the Heritage Foundation. The views I express are my own, should not be construed as representing any official position of the Heritage Foundation. As he said, I lived in Asia as a journalist for a decade, spending my last 2 years in Hong Kong as editor of the Wall Street Journal's Asian editorial page, from where I directed coverage of Asian issues, including the People's Republic of China and the Chinese Communist Party. I'm also proudly on the advisory board of Parents Defending Education, whose July study, Little Red Classrooms, has led to this hearing. The classrooms in question refer to the Confucius classrooms, which are the K-12 school equivalents of Confucius Institutes. The institutes are PRC-sponsored centers set up at universities around the world. They teach Mandarin and Chinese culture, but also fund China research. In the words of a comprehensive heritage study released in March, the institutes and the classrooms give CCP agents a foothold in the U.S. In exchange for money, the schools self-censor about the reality of the PRC and the CCP and allow the spread of PRC propaganda. In 2015, I authored one of the earliest papers on the institutes. One of my recommendations was for the Congress to explore, quote, whether the PRC's efforts to influence Americans through academia and Hollywood represent an attempt by a foreign government to manipulate a democratic population, unquote. 8 years later, this question remains at the heart of the issues facing this committee. Last week, I spoke to Ian Oxnevad, a researcher at the National Association of Scholars, who is currently writing a study on all these issues, and he told me there are a lot more Confucius classrooms than institutes. Once again, the classrooms are K through 12, the institutes are in colleges and universities. A 2019 Senate report said there were 519 Confucius classrooms operating in the U.S. Oxnevad estimates that there are still around 500 classrooms in our country. Just because they're not called Confucius classrooms does not mean they're not, he told me. They are basically a turnkey program for Mandarin that is all expenses paid. Paid by whom, you may ask? By the CCP. Most of the institutes and classrooms were supposed to have been closed. In March 2021, the U.S. Senate voted to prohibit funding for universities that hosted the institutes unless the contracts had clear provisions that protected academic freedom. The absence of transparency has been a big part of this problem. Of 111 institutes that have closed or are in the process of closing, at least 28 have been replaced with similar programs, and at least 58 have maintained close relationships with their former Confucius Institute partner. This duplicity reinforces my view that our government must ban all the institutes and classrooms. We must end all collaborations between U.S. institutions and Chinese entities affiliated with China's Ministry of State Security or other security and intelligence agencies. A foreign communist party cannot dictate what our children learn. The United States is
A foreign communist party should not dictate what our children learn, and they should not dictate what our higher academic institutions should teach. This should not be a controversial statement to make, and yet, alas, doing so is hidden behind a shroud of mystery and esotericism for some odd reason by our officials and by mainstream media. Again, I don't know that much about this guy, this Mike Gonzalez guy. I looked him up. He is tied to the Heritage Foundation, and he has done a lot of work in this field. And it's surprising to me that, maybe you've heard of this. I didn't hear about this. This testimony was given a year ago, but of course, it's a very useful one. Now, knowing that this is occurring, I'm going to finish this video, but knowing that this is occurring, What's to say that, I mean, why is it a big stretch to say that perhaps halting the flow of foreign students, particularly from China, particularly like the Secretary of State had stated, are in association with the Communist Party of China? Why is it such a stretch to say that maybe we shouldn't have these individuals in our already compromised higher education institutions, in our Ivy League schools that already very much compromised from within, from the woke ideology that has been cultivated within our own country by who knows what other external forces, like communist forces from across the seas, okay, that have already infiltrated and are subversively upending our country. But of course, it's happening with Americans as well, or from like woke Americans as well. But already our academic institutions are so heavily compromised, and yet we are still including individuals that have connections to the Communist Party to come in anyways. I think this is not a stretch to say that maybe we shouldn't be accepting these individuals, at least not for now. But let's finish this guy's testimony here.
An open society that enjoys the free exchange of ideas, whose people form opinions and then vote accordingly. China is none of those things. It is a communist dictatorship where the CCP retains the monopoly on power. Our two nations face, therefore, asymmetric informational warfare. China's influence on our schools is aimed at presenting to students a version of the PRC that does not accord with reality. China seeks to be seen as a normal country, say democratic Chile or Portugal. But China is an important country with many contributions to civilization, but China is not a normal country. All of China's 1.4 billion people have their liberties extremely restricted. China's most famous political prisoner is a publisher by the name of Jimmy Lai, who today, at the age of 75, languishes in solitary confinement in a Hong Kong prison on a trumped-up violation of China's draconian national security law.
Speaking about, Hitlerian, authoritarian, draconian, whatever words are thrown at Trump, this is actually where it's happening. It happens in China. Freedom of speech, personal liberties are not principles in those countries, okay? Ideological warfare is running strong within the United States, and it is maybe not primarily caused by accepting, for instance, foreign students, but it is slowly becoming the primary cause. It is one of the main reasons why we are questioning, you could even argue, American principles in our country, and why even nationals here in our country don't really value these items anymore. I really want you to think about that. There is an ideological warfare happening. There is warfare happening every day. It's an information warfare. It's an ideological warfare. Some may even argue spiritual warfare, but it's happening all the time. And we've seen this happen with TikTok. You guys have seen the comparison between the content of TikTok in China versus the United States. If you haven't, look it up. Crazy. It's quite obvious. But also, with the infiltration of these people coming into our country, bringing these ideas over, bringing their culture over, it makes you really think about whether or not we're in a position right now in our country to be dealing with this from a real draconian country with a real draconian leader, not the one we have here that is trying to protect national sovereignty and legitimacy. Because China sees that we are a powerful actor, and they are trying to siphon that off right now from us, using whatever resources that they have. And they have plenty of resources, including their own people. Okay? It's a very collectivistic culture. It's not like the United States. Okay, we're very individualistic. We don't share these Eastern sentiments of collectivism, of honor, of especially familial honor. We don't have that here in our country. So not even ideologically, but even culturally, I don't think the United States has a leg up on China as we speak.
On the 26th of this month, Mr. Lai will mark 1,000 days in prison. Now, I know Jimmy Lai. Jimmy Lai is a friend of mine. I can tell the members of the Congress and the American people that Mr. Lai is a tireless fighter for liberty, one we must never forget. Xi Jinping put him in prison for speaking truth to power. The Confucius Institutes and the classrooms concealed this sordid record by restricting debate on Taiwan, Tibet, Tiananmen Square, the suffering of Jimmy Lai, and many, many other things. You, our political leaders, have the responsibility of stopping this gross interference on how the youngest among us learn about what is likely to be our main adversary for the 21st century. Thank you very much for your time and attention.
something mainstream media won't tell you about. Also, I don't know if you guys know this. I just learned about this. I had to look it up online.
Mr. President,
Laura Loomer called out for the deportation of Xi Jinping's daughter, Xi Mingzhe, I think is how you pronounce it, who attended Harvard and lives in Massachusetts, ladies and gentlemen. So, but jokes aside, yes, she apparently, I looked it up. Cause I didn't know, cause there's no link to this. So I thought maybe this is, and it's coming from Laura Loomer, so I wanted to be sure. So I Googled it, but, yes, Xi Mingzhe, again, I don't know how to pronounce her name. My apologies if I'm butchering it, but, Xi Jinping's daughter, the only child of President Xi Jinping and his wife Peng, Luang, enrolled at Harvard University in 2010. Okay, so even Xi Jinping's daughter attended Harvard University. After studying at Zhejiang University for a year, she also used a pseudonym to keep a low profile, so literally subversively infiltrated, and in 2014 graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. Typical woman moment, majoring in psychology, God bless her. And she can afford that. I mean, she's Xi Jinping's daughter. It was a gamble, but I suppose for her it was just a fun time to attend. But according to the New Yorker, she lives a frugal life in Cambridge and studied all the time. Imagine having a frugal life, air quotes, in Cambridge. Beautiful. There's no other way to say that we live in a time where we are largely exposed to propaganda daily. But so yes. Xi Jinping, I want to say this again for those that maybe aren't watching or just listening. Xi Jinping's daughter attended Harvard herself. Okay? Again, I want to ask you guys, what is up with this narrative that the Chinese education system is far superior to the United States? If that is the case, why are they coming here? Why is Xi Jinping's very own daughter coming here? You could even argue appropriating from her own country, benefiting from it, and I guess staying in the United States. Some of them fly back. But doesn't this go against the leftist narrative of brain drain? I guess it's not a leftist narrative. It's just a technical term. But what happened to brain drain? Do we not hate brain drain anymore? Why are we the basket for every other individual to come into our country and live here from their own country, while, allowing those that do stay in this country to suffer from the lack of ingenuity that is exiting their own home countries? Kind of weird. I don't know. Something worthy of asking ourselves, right? But I think, and this is my personal opinion, is there going to be maybe perhaps a hit on the economy or on the job market a little bit because of this? Of course. Could there even be a little bit of ingenuity from this? Some level of expertise that we are not used to losing, that we have been relying on for this long? Perhaps. There are some losses that we will experience in this process. But I think it's safe to say, given all the information that we had about Chinese propaganda, about TikTok, about foreign infiltrators, about communist spies that our country has quite a decent history with and suffering under, I think it's worth the risk to protect the American worker, to protect the American student, and to uplift Americans first from foreigners or from any potential foreign entanglements before we proceed further with them. And that's where I'm coming from. I don't know. Maybe I'm the bad guy, but that's where I'm coming from. Okay, we have a lot more to cover. We only have 30 minutes left of this show, everybody, because after this show, we have the Liberty Tonight show appearing right after this one. So I have to cut it off here at exactly 30 minutes. Mr. Lipsardi, thank you so much for your donation. If you guys have any more lasting comments, or if you want me to cover a particular news story before I leave, send it on Rumble Rant with that link and I'll cover it. But I have a little bit more to cover with you guys. I do want to cover. Oh, geez, I was gonna cover the tariffs, but I think it's more important to talk about how the Trump admin killed not just woke, not just DI, but being gay is illegal now. I'm kidding. It's not illegal, but you would almost believe it is, considering that no other business, it seems like, is embracing pride anymore. What is going on? I'll be right back, everyone. Stay tuned.
We stand firm in our belief. Hold tight. Through the times clearer we can see. Crazy world spinning round. Stay grounded. In our hearts simple truths agree. Whisper of freedom and liberty. Rings true. Our foundation strong and deep. Holding on to what we know, while the rest of the world lets go. Steady paths we choose to follow, while the winds of change blow. In the story we've built for trust and never doubt. Time flies but we won't bend. Communists talk loud and fast. Stay silent. Our quiet strength is our reply. So salute to change but pause. Reflect. In unity our dearest friend. Holding on to what we know, while the rest of the world lets go. Steady paths we choose to follow, while the winds of change blow. In shadows we find our light. Through chaos we stay upright. Steady. With courage, faith on our side. Forever. Standing firm, our guide. Holding on to what we know, while the rest of the world lets go. Steady paths we choose to follow, while the winds of change blow. You know I'm standing firm while the world keeps a turn, trying to shake my freedom, but I ain't gonna frown. But darling, darling, hold your goblin hand. All you both can dictate, but I'm learning to stand with the spirit of the wild. Yeah, I'm ready to fight. I know more mind is spanking soul. I got my eyes open. Heavy I can't sway. I'm fighting for the rights, and call me the free range mind. Never gonna waver. I'm a rebel with a cause. While others search for safety, I'll be raising my voice. Honey, I got my dreams and live with all my woes. I'll be living for tomorrow. Let the whole world know. Cause freedom not a game, it's a rhythm in my soul. Reaching for the stars, yeah, that's how I roll. Baby, I can't sway. I'm fighting for my rights, and call me the free range mind. We got a fire burning, and it won't be the same. With every stride and stride I take, I'll always proclaim. Stand tall, stand proud, let the people know my name. In the night we rise, in the morning the same. Baby, I can't sway. I'm fighting for my rights, and call me the free range mind.
canceled, everybody. No more Pride Month. I wish that was true, everybody. But no, this is not true. Pride Month is still a thing. It's still happening, but with limited success, I think. Now, I want to tell you a little bit of an anecdote. I was in Seattle area yesterday, a very liberal part of town, you could say, and I went to my local. Well, it wasn't my local Walmart. I don't live in Seattle, but I live around the perimeter, and so I attended this Walmart, and I've noticed. And it just hit me because throughout this entire month, I've been seeing a lot of 4th of July, like tchotchke stuff, like, a lot of 4th of July, I don't even know how to, like knickknacks, toys, and supplies as well. And it hit me aback because it's like, well, I'm used to seeing 4th of July stuff happen like late June or, after the whole Pride Month merchandise campaign is over. And then it hit me even more. You know what? This entire month of May, I did not see, at least locally where I live, and also in parts of Seattle even, or North Seattle, I did not see really any Pride parade. I mean, Pride, like, merchandise stuff. I didn't see any, like, rainbow bandanas. You didn't see like the rainbow masks, okay? None of the goofy glasses. None of that. I didn't see any of that. I didn't see anything even hinting to that. And I thought to myself, well, it's not even like I live in a conservative part of the country. I live in perhaps one of the most militantly liberal areas of the country. But even here, I felt like the pride spirit, the LGBTQIA 123 pi squared spirit. It's such a dead joke. I don't even know why I made that one. Everyone does that joke. But the LGBT spirit is just gone. And like, I swear I saw a transgender individual in the store yesterday. Anyways, so they're still out there, but the less of the fervor is there. And it seems like private businesses and companies are scared. And whether or not that's because that's the Trump effect taking over, or whether, because of our phones and because of the contentious spirit surrounding this entire topic and how people are absolutely sick and tired of this pride narrative. Maybe they're scared. Maybe they're scared to lose a base of their other consumers. They're scared to lose profits. Or maybe it really is a chilling effect of the new presidential administration. I don't know. I'm just spitballing. I want to show you a video. And maybe this is why people are a little annoyed, you could say. Let's watch this together. You guys see that behind me? That little reel? Yeah, let's listen.
From my first Pride Parade with my two moms in New York City. Seeing all the rainbows, the joy, the excitement, hearing all the music, the freedom of expression, seeing other kids be themselves or support, it was absolutely an amazing experience. Come with me for my first...
How old do you think this girl is? Without being weird, I'm just going to guess, like, what do you think? She's like 8, 9? She can't be older than 10. Those are her two moms. Let me ask you this, guys. In what world would this age girl should attend a Pride Parade? I mean, can we just be honest here? The problem is pervs jumped into Pride. Yes, 1965, exactly. I don't really think the concept of Pride, like having a parade dedicated to your sexual, I guess the cool word is to say orientation, your sexual proclivities, I don't think is really necessary. It was a novel concept initially. Maybe, people found it entertaining, and it is sort of treated in that way as like the spectacle. But I don't think having a Pride Parade is even necessary. We don't have, like I said, celebrating a sexual predilection is very weird to me, culturally speaking, just as a whole. Whether you're heterosexual, homosexual, lesbian, whatever, pansexual, I don't believe in all the other ones, but bisexuality exists, I think. But regardless, even if she were to attend a parade that is dedicated to heterosexual proclivities, at newsflash, those places do exist. It's called Vegas. Which, there's parts of Vegas that are fine for any ages. There's parts of Vegas that isn't fine for anyone, below the age of 21. And so she clearly doesn't belong in these sort of environments. I've heard the argument being made that, by leftist streamers, saying that the Pride Parade, it should exist. It should be kept appropriate, of course. No leather dog masks, no BDSM, of course. But they should be educational experiences to let these children know that there are alternative relationships that could be sought out after. Why is that necessary? Why is it necessary to have these events for that, to educate these kids? Because let me tell you, they're getting this education from public schools anyway, and they're getting this education every time they see a gay couple holding hands in public. Okay? They're educated through seeing the dynamic between their parents, or seeing the dynamic between any other heterosexual relationship or couple. Relationship's a poor word. Any heterosexual couple outside in public. That's how children are get exposed to these dynamics and these relationship dynamics or units. And likewise, naturally, I guess you could say, they would be exposed to it, to what people would call alternative unionships. But we don't have to have an entire bacchanalia dedicated to these unionships. Likewise, Mardi Gras. I don't think children should attend Mardi Gras. That's just me. I know it's an unpopular opinion, maybe, but some of the things that happen. I had actually never been to Mardi Gras. I don't know if it's true. I've heard there's a lot of skin that shows at Mardi Gras. So I don't think in certain events, even those which classically isn't aligned with homosexuality, I don't think children should be attending those either. But regardless, any bacchanalia that is dedicated to pushing one unionship over the other is strange to me. Now, this was posted by the Daily Caller today. If you guys, wow, the comments. Nelson65 writes, it was originally about people being shamed into the closet, and homosexuals being arrested had people screaming shame. So Pride began by saying, don't be ashamed and be proud. Okay, fair enough. Mr. Pig just responded or said in the chat, the world would be better when they were arrested. So we have two very, obvious perspectives here. Obviously different perspectives here, but yes, Nelson65. Like I said, initially it was novel, and you could even argue from the leftist perspective that there's a reason why it was designed to be a spectacle. And, I'm willing to acknowledge that. But we are not living in that time anymore. We're not living in that time when people are forced to be living in the closet. If anything, I think that the social contagion is actually making people turn the other direction. We're encouraging people to not be heterosexual. And like I said, I think people are tired of this, are tired of seeing the kids at Pride. They're tired of seeing how it's becoming a foundational piece of Western culture and the American culture and the American experience, when really it's just a sexual activity. Whether or not you think it's degeneracy is, your opinion. But it's a sexual proclivity, and that's all it is. And that's how we should simply treat it as. We shouldn't treat it as something more important than what it is. Because we certainly don't treat heterosexuals that way, and we shouldn't treat homosexuals that way either. At least that's my take from it. It is now just being done to offend people, especially the religious, says Nelson. I agree with you, Nelson. But anyways, okay, removed from me just talking about Pride here, I did want to talk about this. And we are gearing up for Pride Month, okay? Culturama has a very specific Pride Month aesthetic, and I don't think you guys are going to want to miss that. Oh, that was a wrong sound effect. I meant to do that one. But I do want to talk about how the government is responding to this, okay? FBI tells employees no pride activities on company time. It's over. No more pride at work. Sorry, guys. No more pride at work. I'm sorry. No more rainbow flags. Let's read this. Pride. This is like, how I said the joke before I left that being gay is illegal? Clearly it's not, but to these people it might as well be, because they cannot comprehend a reality in which they do not unabashedly talk about their identity and their sexual proclivities all the time. Are you having Culture of Pride merch? Writes Nelson. I don't know, Nelson. I'm going to have to talk about that with my producer. But you never know. It's I guess it's a possibility. I don't think I will, though. All evidence points to no, but crazier things have happened. You're just going to have to stick around and find out. Pride Month celebrations at the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or FBI, for the uninitiated, will not be permitted this June, leadership told agents and directors Thursday. I received several questions about the FBI's stance on Pride Month and what related activities FBI divisions and employees should or should not participate in, said the FBI Assistant Director of Public Affairs. So I want to take the opportunity, he said, to make FBI leadership expectations clear. There should be no official FBI actions, events, or messaging regarding Pride Month. Sorry, guys. Womp womp. We gotta keep it professional. The email told employees that while they are not to engage in any celebration in the office, they are free to do as they like in their personal capacity. I mean, just like everyone else. Or on your own time. But on FBI time, using FBI resources, you and your divisions are expected to take no official actions or issue any specific messaging. The announcement is a shift from the FBI's stance on Pride Month under the Biden regime, which openly promoted Pride Month, including decorating the White House with rainbow pillars and hosting Pride celebrations on the South Lawn. So, under the Biden administration, we had the modern bacchanalia that is Pride Month. And on this administration, it just turns out we want to keep it normal and professional. Sorry, guys. You cannot have your rainbow flags, your rainbow capes, your rainbow sunglasses, and come to work wearing drag. Have leather strap-ons. We just got to keep it a little bit more professional, you guys. Let's leave the leather Speedos at home. Let's leave all the hooks and chains and the platform heels and the leather dog masks in your own closet. And we don't mean that in a violent way, okay? We just mean leave the merchandise in the closet. You can come as you are. You can be homosexual if you want to work with us. But let's just be a little bit more professional and not really, openly maybe show that we are a part of this very destructive culture, sexual culture, and sexual community, because that's what it is. Regardless, there's a lot of gay people out there that are great. I'm not talking about on the individual level, but collectively, can we at least acknowledge that the homosexual community, especially the underground community, is very destructive. Relationships. And I don't just mean that in the manner that in which they don't reproduce. I'm not talking about that. But infidelity is sky high in those communities, gay and lesbian. Domestic abuse, huge, especially within lesbian relationships. And STDs. Okay, I don't think I have to explain that to you. So the community has a lot of issues surrounding it. And that's fine to acknowledge. But if that's, the lifestyle they want to live, that's perfectly fine. And if that's the individual lifestyle you want to live, that's perfectly fine. But when you're on company time and when you're going to represent a part of the government, maybe we should keep it professional, okay? Imagine that. Apparently this is a controversial take. The FBI previously, I cannot read today, the FBI previously supported Pride Month festivities under both Trump's first administration, okay, so Trump's not perfect here, and the Biden administration. The FBI decision comes after FBI Director Kash Patel said in February his goal is to rebuild trust within the FBI. Okay, Williamson said that the Bureau's stance in no way lessens the FBI's commitment to serve and protect every American in our country or welcoming colleagues from all walks of life. Instead, Williamson said, however, what it does mean is ensuring that American people see we are focused only on our core mission. Let's not get distracted here by the leather dog masks, ladies and gentlemen. Here's another article. Scared advertisers flag bans and Trump. The U.S. is in for troubled Pride 2025. Event organizers in red and blue states have seen an exodus of sponsors amid an anti-LGBTQ plus political climate. They insist the show will go on. When Utah brought its pride flag ban, organizer Chad Call was hardly surprised. On the 7th of May, the U.S. state became the first to explicitly prohibit the flying of the LGBTQ plus flags at government buildings and schools. Anyone who does so could face fines up to $500 a day. We live in an incredibly conservative state, says Call, executive director of Utah Pride. It's disappointing that this is such an important issue to our lawmakers. Unfortunately, we lead the nation in anti-LGBTQ plus legislation. Similar Pride Month flags has been signed into law in Idaho and Montana. Bigotry is nothing new, says Donald Williamson, executive director of Idaho's Boise Pride. This community has been dealing with targeted legislation for several years now. Flags are just the latest. All it does is bond us more closely together and emphasize how important festivals like Pride really are. Ushering in a Pride Month that is sure to be tumultuous, these flag bans are among a raft of fresh anti-LGBTQ plus legislation. At the time of writing, the ACLU was tracking the progress of 588 anti-LGBTQ plus bills across the country. MAP puts the figure at about 700 bills, while pointing out that in recent years, most anti-LGBTQ plus bills have ultimately been defeated. A wave of withdrawals. Now, this is what I was trying to get at with the businesses. The exodus of sponsors from U.S. Pride events, large and small, have made headlines. The loss of the likes of Anheuser-Busch, Comcast, and Diageo, I don't know what that is, from San Francisco Pride has accounted for, at the time of writing, a $200,000 shortfall for a $3.2 million event last year, attended by an estimated 1.5 million people. Some organizers say that companies retreating from Pride have been spooked by Trump's anti-DEI crusade. So this could be under the wave or the freezing effect of the Trump administration. That's one theory. It could be people are just getting tired of it, but I think that it's a perfect storm right now. I think it's a storm of what we've experienced in COVID and the policies, even though they weren't Pride related, the policies that were pushed during then really left a bad taste in people's mouth about the previous administration. It could be after, years of wasting money on this. A lot of businesses are just saying that we are wasting not only money, but a consumer base from this. And it very well could be the Trump administration. So it could be the perfect storm right now. It could be the anti-woke culture that's being pushed right now. And that's getting kind of popular. But I think it's just a cultural exhaustive state where we really are exhausted by the fake Pride messaging. And on top of that, I've been seeing a lot of leftists say the same thing. I'm talking about people like, Hassan, like Vosh, like really far left political streamers say the same thing, saying like, even though these businesses will push Pride and push Pride marketing, it comes off as fake. It's just a way for them to make money. So both leftists and right-wingers see through the facade. Some companies have said they're pulling their financial support because of the jittery economic climate. Businesses are struggling for a lot of different reasons, like uncertainty around future tariffs, or that's another reason why they're probably pulling out. They can't handle the tariff situation. Michael, executive director of the nonprofit group SOMA, which is organizing a Pride event in Little Rock, Arkansas, says putting out this event costs a lot of money, around $20,000 to $40,000, and we're doing our best to scrape it together as best we can. SF Pride has also been struggling to regain its stability after the pandemic. I just listed the pandemic. Even before this year's turmoil, we are by no means financially safe, says the executive director. New York City Pride, same thing. They can't handle the expenses associated with that. Technology company Booz Allen Hamilton withdrew their backing from World Pride, the biannual global themed event that is happening in Washington, D.C. 2 corporate sponsors have withdrawn from Pride Fest, Virginia's largest LGBTQ plus festival, Axios reported. Many Pride organizers say that the impact of sponsors' withdrawal will not just be felt at Pride events, but in the losses of funding, the potential scaling back the LGBTQ plus advocacy programs throughout the rest of the year. And I want to end on this because I have to end this show here and wrap it up, but I will end on this. This is how cultural revolutions work. Without even having to legislate Pride to dissolve and not exist, you can have a cultural upheaval as quick as just a couple years. Ever since Dolan Mulvaney and the beer situation, if you guys remember that, we have been seeing a steady decline of support for this cause and for the LGBTQ plus agenda. The anti-woke, the anti-DEI policies, people are getting sick and tired, and you do not even have to legislate anything to wind back the degenerative effects of some of these movements. Okay? Simply by withdrawing financial support that these businesses are doing, Pride events are diminishing. In an era where, as Nelson65 rightly pointed out, their existence may not be as relevant anymore because originally it was intended for a different purpose. And I think that's really interesting as a cultural analysis, but it also should be something we should be aware of before we advocate for heavy-handed policies that do revoke people's individual freedoms from doing certain things. But culture does speak loudly, the zeitgeist speaks loudly, and it's clear that the people have spoken. And they don't only speak through the officials that they vote into office, and I've always said this, they also speak with their wallets. And I'll end it there, folks. Thank you for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. But the Liberty Tonight show will be on next, so let me drop in the chat a link to their stream so we could watch it together. And that way, everyone has their fair shot here in streaming. So let me pull it up for you guys. Let's see, are they live yet? Yes, they are. I'm going to copy and paste the link. Okay, I'm dropping the link in the Rumble chat right now. For everyone that is in Rumble, join that link and let me do my outro and I will quickly leave here. And I will see you guys next week. Let's see. Where is my outro song? There we go.
In the heart they gather strong, pushing back the lefty strong. With the red banner held high, marching forward through the night. Promises of old will keep as the donkeys start to weep. Stars and stripes forever sway. In the land of the brave we stay. We've got the power now in the heart of every town. We've got the power now. The Reds are going down. With a flagpole planted firm, golden dreams that won't decay, marching proudly through the day. In the eagle's shadow by, we find our strength and take our pride. Let the voices echo loud, tearing through the waiting crowd. We've got the power now in the heart of every town. We've got the power now. The Reds are going down. Across the plains and mountains tall, hear the victory call. With courage and with might we strive in the light of freedom's guide. We got the power now in the heart of every town. We've got the power now. The